So you heard already 3 pieces. The previous 2 pieces more about like a solo instrument with the ensemble. You heard Trahn and also Bimon just now. But maybe as Peter and Dieter said earlier, that maybe the 2 challenge we found among all these few years is actually the first thing is the tuning. And doesn't necessarily mean that we have to get everything in the same tuning, but how to actually work together between all these different tunings. And the second is the balance. So we'll see in this piece of how all instruments, thinking of it as one ensemble, can work together in terms of dynamic and tuning. So please welcome Professor Peter Will on stage with John Kumbis. So, so that's the end of Kumbis by John Moreño. And maybe if you could tell us just a little bit about the piece and your idea of the piece, of why do you choose actually this combination of the instruments?
Sure. Can I just read some of the points that I have written?
Well prepared. Okay.
No, because I tend to forget some things, so I've written it down. So the title of this composition is from my local language, from a dialect. It's Kumbis, which means to weave in an intricate manner, just like weaving a mat or weaving a cloth. So the title of this composition is like a metaphor of the culture of the Philippines, which is heavily influenced by the different cultures, from migrations, from the trade interactions, colonizations. So all of those have been woven into our culture in the Philippines, and I think that can be applied to the ASEAN as well, because in the ASEAN right now, we are composed of different countries. So our cultures are also unique from each other, and with the combination of our culture, we can weave a very nicely decorated or nicely designed tapestry of the ASEAN culture. And this is a neo-ethnic composition. I didn't really get the idea, the sound from each of the regions. It's just a product of my imagination. And it's like I have this concept that the memories of our ancestors has been encoded into our DNA. And we can discover those memories that our ancestors passed down to us by like diving down into our subconscious mind and finding that inner rhythm. But then, since I was exposed to the compositions of the Filipino composers who used repetitive melodies, so I think it was employed in my composition.
So it's a beautiful concept. Actually, you wanted to add in all these weaving of culture, interweaving of cultures. And
yeah, I just have one question, or maybe you could elaborate a little. We talked about that in the workshop. I was a little, not criticizing, but saying why this long ostinato in the first part and without many differences in colors, which could have been possible. And then you said something interesting, that you want to make a new kind of community music. Could you maybe tell a little about this idea of community music?
Community music, how do I say this? Because, just a background from where I came from in the Philippines, in the urban Philippines, we lost much of our ethnic music. So that's what I employed. Like, have everyone play parts that are distinct from each other, and then try to have that weave together to form a good sounding melody, I think.
Yeah, fine, thank you very much.
So you're actually looking for the whole ensemble merging as just one sound, something like that, and you repeat until you're not looking for a difference, variants of colors, but more or less like unity kind of thing.
It's like, a mat, a tapestry, just like what we have here in Thailand, a cloth. It's like the weaving of the sounds, and it's like a representation of the threads. At first, the repetitive patterns would like give you a design that is repeating, and then the other decorative sounds or the melodies would give that distinct, how to say it, design to that mat or that tapestry.
Yes, that's something I imagined while I was listening to the piece, while I'm working on it too, and I thought it was some very subtle textures were able to come through all of what you wrote. It also crossed my mind whether maybe with another piece you might care to write with that kind of combination, whether you may wish to try. How would it be if one instrument breaks out a little more out of the context and maybe shows a completely different character within the piece or that? But for the way that you wrote that piece, I thought it was very homogeneous and very interesting, the subtlety of the textures that came through. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very, very much again. Thank you. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Peter.